therapy for fans that deserve better. So much better. Welcome to This Team is Killing Us, a podcast about what the Carolina Panthers do to good people with Dimitri Ravanos and Lauren Brownlow.
Are we America's team going into the playoffs?
What?
Are we the plucky little team that could going into these playoffs?
That's interesting. I don't get that vibe, mostly only because all I see is people making fun of us for like being the team to lose and still make the playoffs, which is just, honestly, it's like the chef's kiss of NFC Southness of it all. And after we lost, I was like, this is the most hilarious possible outcome. And I knew it was going to happen. It was the most hilarious possible thing to wake up to on Sunday of the Panthers lost on Saturday night in this way that was 1000% about the referees. And I don't like to say all on the referees, but it is hard not to feel that way. I mean, be fair, there were calls that went like both ways bad. Like they were equal opportunity bad at times. Like you were just like, what are you doing? Are you okay? But like, yes, it cost us more for sure. And I was very angry.
I saw someone break down that it was basically a 9-point swing, and their breakdown was pretty convincing that it was a 9-point swing in Tampa's direction. But so you lose this way that is not about what the team could or could not do on the field. And then you wake up Sunday and hope is not all lost. You just have to trust that the Falcons are going to do what they were supposed to do.
Let me tell you, that was terrifying. Like
1000%.
Not only do you have to rely on the Falcons to do something good, but you also have to rely on the Saints not screwing you over, which as a Panthers fan, I think most of us can attest, that's kind of their favorite thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I even told Aaron before the game that like I am going to focus on taking down Christmas decorations because I don't want to get invested in this game. I know how it's going to go. And granted, I thought for sure that the Saints were going to win that game because the Saints have just a smidge of momentum and the Falcons had absolutely none coming in. But what do you know?
Well, I was texting with somebody and they were like, I'm so scared because like the Falcons, you know, if they by winning or they were like, you know, I wasn't they were saying they weren't as scared because they were like, because think about it, the Falcons, if they win, they sabotage their own draft position. So they're self-sabotaging either way. And I was like, except they're not because the Rams have their draft pick. So that was an extra layer of fear added in for me was that they probably knew like, oh, we're not even sabotaging our own draft pick. They probably thought they were playing for Raheem Morris's job. I don't know if that was going to help them all that much because it didn't seem to earlier in the season. But so, like, there were a lot of things going on there, plus like the falconry of it all. And you just kept waiting for them to like I was just screaming at the play call. I was like, how do they do this? Like, how do these people do this week after week? But then, I mean, it gets worse than us. I can say that. It's more agonizing than us because it's just like so dumb. It's like dumb on a level that y'all don't even like. So that's why when people complain about Dave Canales, I'm like, I mean, yes, fair. Like, we can judge him based on what we think coaches should do. But when you watch some of the other teams in this league, you're just like, how? How?
Okay, so let's fast forward then to what is on the horizon. Is there any part of you that believes this week will end in a victory?
No, and that's okay with me, by the way. I am at peace with that, like, legitimately. Because it reminds me a lot of Cam's first playoff.
Okay, really. Yeah, that's a good, I think, one for one. I believe they can. Like, I think that you beat the Rams once. There is a blueprint for how you do it. Why couldn't you do it again? But I'm very much in the mindset of any game after the Buccaneers is gravy. It's bonus football at this point. Like, it's the only healthy way to look at this team.
And it's a good experience. Like, it is, it's an invaluable experience to get to have. It's a home playoff game, too. So, like, that's amazing. They don't deserve it, but who cares? We're here. We're not complaining. We're going to take the blessings as they're given. I think, like, for me, it comes down to two things of why I'm not super optimistic. One, like, we beat them once, so this is always the way my mind goes.
I think the idea of it is hard to beat the same team twice is really hard.
Unless you're the Saints,
Right.
Whatever. Sorry, I'm fine. Really. No, but like it's like now you pissed them off too. And like I'm not saying they didn't take us seriously before. I think they probably did, but like, and also like, again, I'm not as down on Dave as some people. He has his issues. I will admit that much. But like when you look at the coaching matchup, you just go, uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that let's talk about how they beat them once before. Let's talk about how the Panthers did this the first time. Home game again. They created turnovers. That is the part I don't think you can count on, right? Like coming into that game, Matt Stafford had been on fire, and you create 2 interceptions and force a fumble at the end of the game. The other part that I find really interesting is think about what the offense did in that game. It wasn't just that the run game was dominant. It was that the run game was dominant in this way that I think even last year, even earlier in the season, Bryce might have mentally checked out, but the run game was dominant and he performed when he was asked to perform.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe he can do it again. I just don't know that like I would bet he could do it again, or he will do it again, I guess I should say.
And I think like for me too, I'm just concerned about, who he's throwing it to right now and how much trust he has in them and where they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we saw some good and bad last week from our guy T-Mac. I think like there was some bad, but then like he made some plays as well.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Like, okay, it was nice to see that again. But like, Xavier. Oh.
Okay, put a pin in that because that's where we're.
But then like Coker is also coming on, but then you don't have Jatavian Sanders, but then you see Tommy Trimble stepping up, and so like I do think that like. But I just don't know that I have quite the same level of confidence in that group as a whole, especially who I think will be out there down after down. That's really, it's not so much like I don't think they could put the right group out there, but I don't think Dave's going to just suddenly put some guys on the bench. So yeah, I mean, that plays a role too. And then obviously the running game has really kind of struggled. And I think the Rams front is certainly good enough to adjust to whatever the Panthers were able to do well.
I think some of the struggles on Saturday night were about the field conditions, but you're right. Like we haven't really seen the team do what they did against the Rams the first time since. Do you know? And I am solely giving you this information to upset you. Do you know who the referee is of this game?
Spoiler alert, I saw it in the rundown.
Clete Blakeman, who was the head referee of Super Bowl 50. Now. That was
doesn't know what a catch is.
Okay, so that was not a particularly terribly officiated game start to finish. There were bad moments. Play. I will point out that the 2 officials involved in that call are off of Blakeman's crew. The 2 officials that disagreed and ended up saying no catch are off of that crew. I think what is more shocking is the crew that refereed Saturday's game in Tampa got a playoff assignment. How on earth do you get a playoff assignment, which, by the way, Bills at Jaguars, it's not crazy to think the winner of that game is going to end up in the AFC Championship game. I
mean, first of all, maybe there's some sort of shortage of refs, which is, it's possible. But then also, like, it was funny because, like, I think the conspiracy theories were, like, half joking. But there was this element at play of, like, well, they want tomorrow to matter. They want people to watch Saints Falcons and for it to matter. And I was like, come on. Like, yeah. And also, they were making some, look, I watched that game at my friend's house. Her boyfriend is a Bucs fan. Very kind person. Like, he's not one of those people, quote unquote. Sure. But I am one of those people. So I was really trying to like keep my bad self inside. And it was really hard for me. But like, I agree. Like, we both could agree on some call. Like, I was like, ooh, that call was like, we got lucky we didn't get that call. Or like, yeah. And like they would call penalty and I'd be like, I didn't see much there on them. But then like there some of the ones on us, and he did try to, actually maybe once, and I shut it down. I was like, all right, listen.
Which one? The offensive pass interference?
I think so. I was like, we're not doing this. No.
Yeah, that's when you have even Chris Fowler telling the rules analyst, yeah, I think you're wrong. Like, it was an egregious penalty because Chris Fowler is not in the business of questioning referees. Like, that's just not what he does.
I was so mad. I was fuming.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is going to be very different this week than it was about week 13 is whether you can talk all you want about treating a game as just another game, right? This is basically, I wrote it down in the rundown as upstarts versus the favorites, because I think even though Seattle won the division, even though the Rams are playing this weekend and not in a bye, who would you bet on right now over the Rams to win the NFC Championship? Who would you feel good about over the Rams? Like, I think it took a fluke play for Seattle to get in the position they are in.
There's really, look, the NFC is not very good. I mean,
I agree.
Neither. Like, no one. That's the thing about the NFL this year, really. Right? Let's be honest.
Well, because with Kansas City and Baltimore out, there is a real changing of the guard at the very, very top. Right? Like, I don't think anybody believes in Philadelphia.
No, and I put this out there the other day, but I believe this in my heart. I feel like almost the entire NFL this year is spiritually 7-9.
Yeah,
so
that feels,
I don't feel badly that
right.
we made the playoffs. So.
No, that feels right. I do still think, though, the Rams are probably the favorite.
Yes,
and I think that when you look at this game, you are talking about, and we've talked about this all year with the Panthers, this is a team that is maturing and growing up together. And they're going up against a roster in the first round of the playoffs where 25% of the roster has playoff experience. They have 5 guys left from their Super Bowl 56 team. They have consistently valued experience and I'm going to say greatness just because I cannot think of the right word for it. But they've consistently valued established production over draft picks. So that results in a roster that has done this before. And I'm not saying that is the end all be all, but it is a real dividing line this week.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And look, I mean, let's be honest, like we had a lot of things go in our favor in the first matchup.
Yeah, for sure. And
not just like the turnovers, just like things that just bounce your way or like lucky breaks and whatever. I mean, Puka did make an absolutely absurd, one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life. And so, but I wouldn't call that luck. Like, he's that good. So it's going to be tough, and it'll be like, to me, it'll be interesting. I'm glad we don't have the same refs for last week on this game, because it'll be interesting to see how they call that stuff this week, because I think that'll play a big role in what we're able to do and how much success we're able to have, because obviously their receivers are so dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that is worth noting is in that last time, as much as the Panthers did right, the Panthers also were the victim. Like, the Panthers probably could have run away with that, but the penalty difference was insane, right? The Panthers had penalty problems all game, and the Rams got called for 1 penalty in that game.
The other thing, it was a miracle.
Right. The other thing that I think is going to be interesting from the standpoint of the new guys versus been there, done that, is Sean McVay has been in this position before of a win over a team that is probably better than you, and then having to come back and face them again in the playoffs. And he has figured out, what can we keep in the back of the playbook to pull out later? I don't know that Dave has. I'm not saying he hasn't. I legitimately don't know that Dave Canales has a plan to avoid being predictable, because there is a very specific way they won in week 13.
Well, and it's interesting because I just think that there are elements there of like, and look, he, McVay coached against the Carroll Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So like, I think clearly Seattle knew him well, and we're ready for him, for what Canales might do. I think there's elements of that with Tampa too, as well, because they knew Dave obviously from not that long ago. So like, everybody knew, Todd Bowles knew, had some ideas about what things might be happening on the opposite side of the ball. And so you would think McVay, with his big old football brain, will do plenty of that same kind of like studying and whatever, and figure out what he can do to have more success, especially I think defensively. I think that'll be their, like, offensively, I'm sure he assumes like things will work themselves out. And while the Panthers defense has played great, and they have steadily improving guys on that side of the ball, we're all very excited about them. Okay. But like, let's be real. If that offense is operating as well as it can, there's not going to be much they can do.
It's going to be really, really hard. Right. And this is why, like, I don't love sometimes, and granted, this is what he says to the media. It may not necessarily be exactly what it is he is saying behind closed doors in the locker room, but all week long, Dave Canales has been hammering, that Seattle game against New Orleans when the Seahawks were the team coming in at 7-9 and won a bad NFC West, and suddenly Marshawn Lynch breaks this run, and the game is a completely different game, and the Seahawks end up pulling away from the Saints. You hear a lot about that happened. Why can't it happen for us? I guess the answer is
to us. See Arizona Cardinals wild card 2000.
I guess I would say you're right. Why couldn't it happen to us? But I do think those things are easier to believe when you have a player like Marshawn Lynch at the top of his powers. And this roster has specifically been designed not to have that kind of guy. And I think it's an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I want to point something out too. And this is I intend this as no shade towards Rico Dowdle. But from the moment, when was the last time you've heard people clamoring to re-sign him and whatever, and that he's got to get the big bucks? When is the last time he's had the kind of, and I'm not blaming him for this necessarily. I mean, some of it is just everyone's loading up the box and making Bryce beat you. So I get that. But when is the last time that you've said, oh, Rico can take this game on his shoulders and take out this team by himself? We're not saying that. And I'm not saying we're saying that about Chuba either, but I think that was why I was a little bit more whoa, hold your horses when it came to Rico's emergence versus Chuba, because, and I wasn't there were people out there saying, we got to pay this guy. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. And I think you're seeing a big part of the reason I feel that way is because teams are just going to load up and make it very difficult for you to run the ball, and not to mention his age and everything else. But I think if that running game, it feels like it's been a while since that running game was really got going. Really.
I was sitting here thinking, I guess it was probably the last time these two teams played, because it has been. You're right, it has been a while. But the last time these two teams played, Chuba was the one. I don't think he got the bulk of the carry. Chuba did get the bulk of up last time. I think
Rico might have been banged up or something.
I think that's right. Yeah, as I look back over this now, I think you are correct. Actually, Rico got one more carry, but he got far fewer yards than Chuba did in that game, and that has sort of been a consistent thing. The other thing you bring up, and I don't think it is a big factor, but I don't think it's a non-factor. Ejiro Evero comes off of Sean McVay's tree. Ejiro Evero was the co-defensive coordinator for that Super Bowl winning team.
I think it helped him
the Rams
somewhat in the first matchup, for sure.
I think that anything good we thought about Ejiro Evero coming to Carolina in the first place was because of what he accomplished with that team. I think it is where he learned to be a coach. I think it is where he learned what his defensive philosophy is. I think his time in LA shaped him in a big, big way. I also kind of think McVay probably knows how to pick on him if things are going right.
Maybe. We just haven't seen it yet.
Maybe. I mean, look, I'm not saying
it makes sense what you're saying. I'm not
saying I don't trust Evero in this game because of that. I'm saying if that happened, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, for sure. I agree. And let's be honest, Evero, I think we can all say this, and I think it's fair for us to say this. He's done an amazing job this year. Really, with the talent that they have. Yes, a lot of it is young and could be really great, but we didn't know that coming into this year. No one was certain of that. And what he's been able to do with this defense, especially the way it looked last year versus now, is crazy.
Yeah, I think the one thing my constant complaint, and Chris Fowler pointed this out on Saturday night at the very top of the broadcast. Yeah. The team plays in zone coverage 84% of the time. That is bananas. But the things that had us last year going, are we sure this guy is actually good, are gone. The stupid mistakes seem to vanish after week 2. That doesn't mean that the defense wasn't the determining factor in some of the Panthers' losses, but Christian Roseboom stopped running right by guys in the backfield, and that was a real problem in the first 2 games.
And you're seeing Princely and Nick Scorton out there just banging guys and making plays. And this defense just has like an attitude and a nastiness that makes it so much more fun to watch, and that I can't remember seeing on this team in what feels like a decade.
Yeah.
It's not, but it feels like forever. And it's wonderful because you're like, even if you screw up, I'll take it, because like you have some swagger about you and some confidence about you, and you want to hit some dude as hard as you can. And then, it's just great. I love watching it, and I'm glad that it looks like that, but I'm afraid to say it because every time I've said it during a game, all of a sudden the offense goes scorched earth on us for a minute.
I mean, that seems to happen on both sides of the ball this season for the Panthers. I do want to tell you about our friends at Auditory FX. They are the ones that make this show sound good with that cool opening that we now have at the beginning of the show. They have all of the tools you need to make your podcast sound bigger and better. And I don't mean audio equipment. I don't mean microphones or anything like that. It's the stuff that if you are just doing this as a hobby, you may not think of. Those sounds, that ability to elevate your intro and segments of your podcast. Packages that they have available start as low as $19.99. These are audioscapes created by a guy named Steve Stone, who's been doing this for radio, for television, for internet outlets for a long, long time. And it is super affordable to take advantage of what it is he creates. Go to auditoryfx.com right now. If you forgot to get somebody a gift for the holidays and that person is a creative type, whether it's videos or audio or whatever, this makes a great gift. Go to auditoryfx.com right now. Lauren Brownlow, I think that we do have to acknowledge that the drought of Dave Tepper and going to the playoffs is over. And I want to ask, is this team winning because Dave Tepper is quiet, or is Dave Tepper quiet because this team is winning?
I actually have to think it's more of the former than the latter, because they weren't winning back at the we haven't heard a whole lot from him since the season started. And
I think that certainly there has been at least publicly, there has been no meddling. And the two previous seasons, not only was he meddling, he let you know he was meddling in the team. And that has absolutely led to a more relaxed locker room. You even see it in the videos that they post after losses. The guys seem disappointed, but they don't seem tight the way they did certainly under Frank Reich. And as much as I think Tepper shutting up should be credited, I do think there is a difference in the way that the guy who brings Tepper's message to the players approaches Tepper shutting up. Does that make sense?
For sure. And like, I just think like, I think also like, it's not just him shutting up. It's also like him not Karening at a restaurant. And
sure.
Like, sure. I mean, it's also like him staying out of the news.
Right. Yeah. Not throwing drinks on people in Jacksonville because the team can't score a point.
Literally, because then the players don't have to get asked about it. The coach doesn't have to get asked about it. Yeah.
Right. I think there is value to the idea that the team started winning when he shut up. But I think the reality is he shut up not because the team started winning. I think he shut up because the team looked competent.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Even in the bad losses this year, you didn't really see outbursts. I think the one thing you saw is a video of him and Dan Morgan walking out of the stadium in Jacksonville together. And it's not like he was stomping his feet. He just had his head down and he was refusing to talk to cameras. And, the other part of it too is after week 3 and that domination of the Falcons, no, don't get me wrong, every win is fun. But winning on a clutch field goal is pretty fucking fun. And I think it takes away any sort of agitation you may have about what happened, that it took a last second field goal for us to get that win.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I just think like, it's one of those things too, where like, in the rest, like I've heard criticism of him, and we talked about this last week of like, oh, he was too quick, like to fire coaches, which I think you and I both vehemently disagree with. And it's like, and this is why the NFL media, like national media especially, drives me so freaking crazy, because like, if you bothered to look at the context for 2 seconds, I think you would understand that that's not the case. And then they help spread that narrative, and so on it goes. But it's like, no, like you have one coach that literally was just like, I'm not coaching that quarterback. Now, could you make the the argument like they shouldn't draft a guy the coach says he doesn't want. Sure, that's a whole separate argument. But at the same time, like if you're the coach, you kind of have to coach whoever you get. Like that's what we're told anyway. Like it's like you don't get to choose that. And so, there's that. And then like also with Matt Rule, I mean, I know you and I talked about it, and like we would argue that they should have done it sooner than they did. Like they should have done it before that season even started, because it was very clear he didn't know what he was doing.
Right. I think that there is, when it comes to the NFL, I don't know what the dividing line is on who gets this benefit of the doubt and who doesn't, because like the Raiders look incompetent, right? Like the Raiders as an organization look absolutely incompetent. Does anybody think that a second year of Pete Carroll was going to be better? No, and the Raiders don't get the kind of criticism that Dave Tepper got for pulling the plug on Frank Reich. Like these guys, this isn't college football, right? You're not teaching dudes, like dudes are not getting comfortable in a new situation of their life. There certainly are guys doing that, but you're a professional now. You're held to a certain standard. If it's not working, it's not working. And it's
exactly. And there's like such a sunk cost fallacy, I think. Maybe not even sunk cost fallacy, but like it's more of like well, they need time and they need to develop this team and blah, blah, blah. Right. And like, yes, that may be true to a degree, but like if you're seeing nothing that's even giving you any indication that that's what's happening, then like at a certain point, you just have to say like, how long do we keep this charade going here before we have to pull the plug?
It's funny. We were talking about this on the women's basketball podcast this week. We were talking about Neil Ivey and Notre Dame, and Mitch Northam was making the point that like Neil has done enough, or Neil, I can't remember how you pronounce it, has done enough to earn the benefit of the doubt. But like she is like committing malpractice with this roster this year. Like she's doing a terrible job of managing that roster.
Scores and been like, what?
Well, like Mitch pointed out, and I didn't know this because I haven't really watched Notre Dame yet this season. She's got a roster of like 15 players, and she is using a 6-player rotation, like to the point where most of that team doesn't even take off their warm-ups after shoot around. And I'm not saying that like
old
that
school
is
Coach K energy.
Right. I'm not saying that is like a direct 1-for-1 comparison to Reich, but like Dave Tepper got to the point he did because there was no reason to believe in these guys. Now, did he make the right hire after he fired Matt Rule? Obviously not. And I think that while this is a better hire, time will tell if this is the right hire or not.
Like, you know what pisses me off too is it's almost like people look at what Rule did at Nebraska and use that as evidence against Dave Tepper, which is also so lazy and
wait a minute.
I can't even begin.
They look at going 7-5 at Nebraska as evidence that Dave Tepper was the problem.
People think Matt Rule's doing an amazing job at Nebraska, which I do. I mean, to be fair to him, he has done better than all of his predecessors. I'm not saying he hasn't. So like kudos to him. But we always said he was a really good college coach. No one has argued anything different. Like, and y'all are the ones who were always saying like, oh, you can't assume that this college coach will work in the NFL. Look at Nick Saban, and all of a sudden it's like, and I just think it's dumb. It's lazy. It just fits into whatever you want it to fit into, and whatever you can make it fit into. Matt Rule sucked. They should have fired him before that season even started. End of. Like, what are we doing here?
I never understood. This goes beyond the Panthers. I never understood why NFL teams were even talking to Matt Rule. What is it he did?
We were like, why is this happening? Like, it was like, please don't do this, Panthers. Please let the Giants do it, not us.
All right, swinging this back to Tepper for a moment, and actually this ties in because I do think Dave Canales is a part of this. I think part of what has kept him quiet is even if this team did not finish the regular season like pulling away from the Buccaneers, even if this team did not finish the regular season with 10-11 wins, there has been enough of a proof of concept in what Dan Morgan wants to do. That like he's giving Dan a benefit of the doubt he never would have given Scott Fitterer, and part of that is his fault, right? Like
it's also like look at Dan's draft picks. Look at Dan's draft picks this year.
That's my point. Like he never would have given Fitterer this rope. So let's be fair to Fitterer in that sense. But Dan Morgan, more often than not, is picking the right pieces. And look, we'll get to XL. We'll get to some of those guys from that last class that you kind of raise your eyebrow at a little bit and wonder why they're not further along. But T-Mac was a great pick. Both edges were a great pick. Yeah. I think Lathan Ransom did enough to tell you
he's really
that he's got a future on this team. So I think that is part of it.
And the only pick I don't like.
I think in hindsight, ETN is the only one that you go, I don't know if I see a future for him here. I mean,
why there also? So that was the big.
Also, yeah, totally fair. I hope, and boy, I hope is the last time you hear me say something nice about DaveTepper. I hope this will settle down the Tepper was the problem all along crowd, because I'm not saying he wasn't a problem. Right. He definitely was.
He has his issues. There are plenty of things to criticize him for. Okay. Just when he fires coaches isn't one of them. Sorry.
No, the roster is the roster, and there is only so much any coach is going to be able to do with a roster. And when you hire bad coaches and give them mostly bad players, or like in the case of Frank Reich had a defense full of castoffs. What on earth was he supposed to do?
No, like that defense had no hope last year. We said it too.
Right. Sorry, I should have said he had an offense full of castoffs. You're right. It was last year. The defense was full of castoffs.
That offense had no hope the same way though too. Yeah, right. I agree.
Right. All right. So let's end talking about some of the moves when it comes to wide receivers this week. We are going to see David Moore on the field for the playoff game, which good. I don't hate. Like I think he, like Tommy, he is a dude that even if he is not a headliner, Bryce has a level of comfort with him. And that's good.
I have that same level of comfort as well. I trust him.
So as a result, we say goodbye to Hunter Renfrow. And I have seen so many people pining for, why was this not XL? Why does Hunter Renfrow have to go? And I will again bang my fist on the table. It is because Hunter Renfrow sucks. And if he did not suck, he would have been playing. That being said, Lauren, last week, Jalen Coker clearly moved above XL on, I don't know if you call it the depth chart, because it's still going to be XL on the outside and Coker.
Maybe the trust tree.
In the slot. Trust tree is right. Coker was on the field for 68% of the Panthers' offensive snaps versus 35% for XL. That is the first time Coker has eclipsed XL. Yeah.
He's only on for God, I feel like I felt every one of them.
Okay, so here's why. If he's only on the field for 35% of the snaps and he had, 7 targets in that game on Saturday? That means he had to have been targeted right around 50% of every snap he was on the field.
Do you think there's like a pressure that is there? Like, is it from Bryce? Is it from Dave? Like, what is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there, because that's a high percentage to target him on the plays he's out there. Or is it like that they don't feel like he's going to do anything else useful when he's out there? I mean, I genuinely am asking.
No, because I think you have seen,
he's not a bad blocker. He's not the worst. Yeah.
It was the Green Bay game, right? Like, it was the Green Bay game it was the Dallas game where Rico went off. Like, Rico just went off. And multiple times they are highlighting he was able to get to the outside because of what XL did as a blocker. No, I think that everybody that makes decisions for the offense knows what XL is capable of if things go perfect. But clearly it is not going perfect. And it's probably not going to turn around. And Lauren, I think it is time to say, tip your hat, say thank you for all the fun, but this isn't going to work for you here. It may not work for you at all, but it's certainly not going to work here.
I will say this. Again, I was in a very emotional state on Saturday, so I probably was I was like, why is he out there? Why?
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was that low of a percentage comparatively. So that's good. Because it shows that Dave is seeing what we're also seeing in terms of, because look, I love, like we've talked about it a million times. I love Xavier. He's great. He's a great guy. We all love him. He doesn't seem to have the kind of game-changing speed that you need to be a receiver.
Right.
And he can't catch the football. So sorry, those are two kind of important things to have if you want to be a 1 or 2 receiver in this league, and he has neither of them. So I don't know what we're doing here. I appreciate the faith that they've shown in him. I do think it paid off at times. We saw the middle of the year, him have this resurgence, and I was hopeful that this would turn into something more consistent for him, but he has cost them big time. I mean, I will give him this. He's at least not getting called. Didn't he get a false start in this last game, though? I almost broke something. I was just with you.
It stood out because this happened.
It was a good play. They would have got a first down, and he false started.
And this happened in the who was the Arizona game? Well, during the comeback. This happened during the comeback of the Arizona game. Yeah. And it is the most inopportune times. look, he is not. It is not as if he is averaging almost no yards every time the ball is thrown his way. But, he's caught just over half of the balls thrown to him. Now,
well, and also it's so glaring some of the ones he doesn't catch.
Right. And that's
really,
what they're
some of the worst. Like maybe
that's what I was
going to
get to.
That are on a par, but
well, that's the thing, right? Like I think T-Mac has had plenty that are on par. Yes. T-Mac has had some bad drops this year. And probably I would say more bad drops than Liggett. I think Liggett has not always shown effort to go get the ball at times. I certainly think that there is a confidence thing going on. And this is part of why I wonder if he's not going to get the ball the way McMillan is. McMillan believes he can catch everything with one hand.
That's what I was going to say. Like you see like a fear with X.
Right.
That,
yeah. McMillan thinks he can catch everything with one hand. There are times Liggett looks like he does not think he can catch anything. Literally. Yeah. And it shows because you wonder that too. When you're watching him, you're like, have you ever caught a football before? Like, are you okay? Right.
And I hate saying that. Like, I know, but yeah, you do. I mean, like you hear about the yips and stuff like that. And like, I think that there was an aspect of that there with Xavier because now you correct me if I'm wrong. You followed South Carolina more, but I don't remember hearing that he had like awful hands or anything like that.
No, not at all. And also you saw them use him more on slants that then would turn into those big runs. But again, even at the top level of even the most talented Alabama teams are not going to be able to stay on the field with even, the Panthers team of 2 years ago. It's just a totally different sport.
For sure.
I think, you have seen probably, or at least I know I have, I think I shared it with you. You've seen the Moneyball meme going around, right? With
yeah, you sent that to me.
With Jonah Hill standing at a blackboard saying, now
Great
Billy,
guy.
this is Xavier Liggett. He's the most popular player on our team. Everybody loves his accent. The one problem is he is the worst football player you've ever seen. I think that is like in the walls now in Carolina. And I'm rooting for him. I loved watching him at South Carolina. I've enjoyed his personality here with the Panthers. It's not going to happen in Carolina.
No, it's not. It's just like, and it's the vibe too. Like you see how defeated he looks when it happens.
Yes.
And you're just like, you can see how much like upstairs baggage he's dealing with, and you feel for him because you're like, oh my guy, like you could fix this, but clearly whatever's happening isn't working. And even all of Dave's belief in him, and he's shown a lot of belief in him, and like I said, at times it's really paid off. And I think Bryce has been really supportive of him too, but it's just we've done all we can here. Basically.
That's the thing about the popularity, right? People clearly want it to work. I mean, T-Mac has 7 touchdown catches this year. There's a group of guys tied at 3 touchdown catches this year. That's the next highest. That's the number 2 amongst receiving touchdowns. XL is one of them in that group of 3. And I would tell you the other guys in that group are Chuba and Jalen Coker.
And Coker's missed a lot of time.
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. Coker missed the first 6 games of the year. It does not feel like an event when Coker or Chuba make a touchdown the way it does what XL does. And to me, that is a sign of even your teammates are starting to look at you as the Make-A-Wish kid on the roster.
Ooh, yeah. And maybe at first that really like lifted him up. But then all of a sudden it hits you of like, oh no, like I'm the
Right. And look, part of the reason it feels like an event is because compared to those other two, Coker and Chuba don't do a fun dollar bill dance whenever they score a touchdown. But there is, like, as I was looking for.
No, they want it for him just as badly as we do.
Of course they want it for him. Of course they want it for him. I think that, Coker's touchdown catches have felt like big because they are the result of Bryce putting the ball on the money, or Bryce putting the ball on the money and Coker making a move.
Catch,
right. Yeah. Not only making a great catch, but then making that catch and getting away from his guy to get into the end zone. Like they are an event because of what happens on the field. XLs are, our big strong boy. Our big strong boy made a great big play.
Exactly. And look, you feel that like that reminds me so much of like when I was like younger and stuff, and like people would be trying to like get me to jump off the diving board or something. And and all of a sudden everyone's crowding around and you're just like, well, now this is so freaking embarrassing.
Right.
Like you're not even proud when you do it. You're just so embarrassed. You're like, oh my God, I'm such a baby. Like, what? This was so easy, and I just should have. And now everyone's watching me. Like, why can't you do this easy thing? Like, you're not even proud of yourself anymore because it's like everyone's making this whole production out of it, and all of a sudden it becomes almost shameful. And I feel like maybe that's what happened to Xavier a little bit. That's so interesting. Like, I never thought of it that way, but I think that is a little bit of what's happened to him, and he's so far in his own head, too, that it's like he just. And look, we've seen it happen with other receivers here in the past, like other receivers that we've drafted high that we've been like, oh, this guy, look how good he was at whatever school. And then all of a sudden they get here and they're like, what's catching it? I don't know. What are hands? I don't know.
I mean, look, that's the thing, right? We just did this with Jonathan Mingo. You do not have to hang on to a guy that it's not working out for. Exactly. And I think XL,
no matter how much you like him.
Right. I think that another coach can invest more and get more out of XL than the Panthers can at this point. I think it's okay.
Yeah, and I think, look, I think, like, they can all rest easy, like Dave and them knowing that they did everything they could, and I think that they legitimately did, and it almost worked.
And you do it now because you can always sell to whoever it is you are trading him to, because remember, he was the 32nd pick. You have the opportunity now to get him cheaper for one more year if you can turn things around. When I say better, like, he's going to net a 5th or 6th round pick. That's fine. But if you
and maybe it'll be better. Some people, it's actually better for them if they're not in their hometown or close.
Agreed.
To it.
Well, agreed, 100%. And I don't think either of us are saying XL is bad or we don't like him. It's just clearly not happening here.
No, I wanted it to, and it's just not. And I came to peace with that officially last week because the amount of rage I felt towards it. And I was like, see, this is how I know. Because like before it had always been tempered with me of like, but I love him so much. And now, I just, the pure rage that flowed in and I was like, oh, it's time, isn't it? Oh no.
All right, Lauren, take us home for the playoffs.
Oh God. Hasn't it always gone well when a West Coast team has come to the East Coast to play us in the playoffs? Oh God, maybe not. Whatever. Look, YOLO, we're here. We're going to get through it. Whatever happens, happens. And get ready for it. Ice up, son.